prospect for the fans to hear that. But just to backtrack, I'd like to talk a little bit because, when we interviewed you, you were telling us about the undertaking with Marco working on this new album. And then years later, we get A Brooklyn Story. Fantastic piece of work. What I really liked about it was that instead of you becoming the main character, so to speak, you kind of flipped it on this one and you made it Marco's journey to the U.S. from Canada to Brooklyn. You had his parents actually doing the speaking parts and whatnot. It's very, very different. It's much more naturalistic, and you gave it a different type of vibe. What was the impetus behind that? Why focus on Marco's life to go this route?
I felt like I had touched on a lot of my life already on my albums, different periods of my life. I did the college years. I did the high school years. I did the sort of like middle school. That was the Son of Yvonne album. I touched on a bunch. And during this time period of us working on the record, he had found out that his dad was sick. And that was like a tough time for him. And once I found out that his father was sick, then the idea hit me immediately. I was like, his father needs to be on this album. We need to immortalize him on this album. And the best way to immortalize him is to just tell Marco's story straight up. So that's why I did it.
I think it's crazy that you're bringing up the whole aspect of him, being sick, and you want to immortalize him. It's like now thinking about the album, the last song is Fight Song, and Fight Song is about your own battle with MS. Pharoah Monch does an amazing job, taking the living embodiment of the disease and talking about it. And then you talk about your struggle. Incredible. It's one of the best things he ever did. And we're talking about one of the GOAT MCs of all time. So, it was a beautiful, beautiful song. Definitely one of the crown jewels of your catalog. Talk a little bit about you dealing with MS. How's that going for you? The importance of health in hip hop, because we've had so many deaths lately. Black Rob with the kidney failures, Shock G, which is unknown at the present moment. It puts a lot of things into perspective. Yeah. And you did that song. It's kind of a pinnacle of your career in your life. So just talk about that and what you're dealing with now and how that's going for you.
Well, it's been, I've been very fortunate because I was diagnosed over 20 years ago now. And I've done, compared to some people, I've done really well. And a lot of that is because I was determined to do really well. I changed my diet dramatically over those years. The amount of exercise, I exercise quite frequently. And I take my medication once a week. And all those things have just kind of, to me, helped to keep my quality of life where it needed to be. I would say the last year with the pandemic and sort of not being able to do the same amount of exercise that I was doing, it's taken a little bit of a toll. I feel a little bit more weak. But then I started bike riding in the summer just to kind of counterbalance that since, but the gym has been closed for over a year. I discovered a bike riding crew and I started riding with them. And
I see you on IG. Yep.
Yeah, we just, that's my way of kind of just getting some sun, getting some exercise. And I think the thing with the disease, and I guess they say every single person is different the way the disease responds, but I just feel like if you're idle, it gives the disease the signal that it can now start to try to advance on you. Mm-hmm. And so sitting around a lot, not being active is, to me, is the kiss of death. So I don't want to ever be, still. So right. I just try to keep, and it's been tough because of the pandemic, and then the winter time hit. So there was no bike riding in the winter. So those winter months, I was sitting around a lot more, and I was focused on the writing stuff. But, I did a few workouts in the house and stuff like that. But, I just would like for things to get back to normal so I can start moving around better.
No doubt. You mentioned earlier, you said you put it out in the universe for the play to open up in London. And that's me. I try to visualize everything. I'm real big on energy. Talk a little bit about that, how you how maybe you rely a little bit more on energy and positive thought as opposed to people just run to Western medicine all the time. You know, the metaphysical part of healing yourself. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
It's super important, man. You know, there's so many um there's so many remedies out there that can heal our bodies naturally. But people are just so stuck in just believing what the pharmaceutical companies tell us and what the pharmaceutical companies are pushing. And I've never been on that. Like I've just said there's got to be other ways to do this. You know, whatever issues I have, I try to seek out the natural remedy to see if that will alleviate whatever issue I'm having. It takes a lot for me to go the route of pharmaceuticals. The medication that I take for the MS, that is a pharmaceutical product. I haven't found, that natural remedy.
Right.
But if it's out there and it's brought to my attention, I have a couple of people told me about stem cells and all this type of stuff. And, I just got to be really smart about this type of decisions.
Right.
To take myself off of a medication that's kept me on my feet for 20 years. Indeed. That's a big decision. And they have newer meds now. Like I technically don't even have to take an injection anymore. I can actually just take a pill. And they even have stuff that lasts for an entire month as opposed to once a week. I just haven't been open to trying these new products because my mentality is this is what's been working for me. I take this injection. I've changed my diet. This is how I eat now. I cut out all of this stuff, and that's been working. So if it's working and I'm feeling good, I'm sticking with that. And that's kind of how I've approached it.